This video features the best brawlers you need to be playing in the June ranked season. These brawlers typically aren't banned, so if they are open, you need to be picking them. Alright guys, the first brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Lily. Now Lily has already been such an annoying brawler to face because of her vanish gadget. Like if you notice there's a lot of damage coming your way, you can just activate your gadget and escape into the shadow realm for the next couple seconds and avoid all that heavy damage. You can even hide inside of a bush and travel to wherever you need to go for the next 3 seconds and use that to get closer to the enemies. There is no way they'll be able to know where you went if you change directions after you activate your gadget. I mean, the vanish gadget is just such a fantastic escape tool as well. Now, especially on maps with a lot of bushes and you're pulling in like the lower rank matches, yeah, Lily is just gonna absolutely dominate in those types of matches. You can activate your vanish gadget to freak out the enemy and then use your super to backstab them and burst them down for an easy win. This brawler doesn't require any skill at all, kinda like Kit. So if you have her, get the vanish gadget and then it's pretty much clown stars after that. And of course, the other great thing about Lily's kit is going to be your spiky star power. I mean, that's just going to help her deal so much more damage after teleporting using your super. With the help of the spiky star power, being able to deal 50% extra damage with your next main attack just makes it so much more rewarding when you connect your super. The more damage you can do with spiky, the faster you will charge up your next super, and the more backstabs or increased damage you can do onto the enemies. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Juju. Now Gregory is easily one of the best aspects about Juju's entire kit. When you have her super charge, you can use Gregory as a tank and get closer to her enemies to deal high burst damage. This is more efficient when paired with her numbing needle star power to increase the accuracy of your hits. This can help Juju stay alive and at least give her a fighting chance against aggressive brawlers in this meta. Now what's also good about Juju is her different main attacks, right? So you need to really make sure you understand how to use each main attack in different situations. When enemies approach you, because her attacks on the ground are the highest among the 3 types of elements, it is best to leave bushes to deal higher damage or escape onto water while slowing the enemy down. On the contrary, when enemies are escaping from you, it is highly advisable that you hide in bushes to increase your range and try dealing as much damage as possible. Now I know I touched on it a little bit earlier, but they still need to nerf numbing needles even more in my opinion. I've said this before in my other videos, but anytime you have an ability where you can slow down or stun the enemies inside of Brawl Stars, it is always going to be really strong. The fact that Juju has multiple ways to slow down the enemies with her kit is just going to add on to the list of why she is so annoying to face. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Finks. Now with Finks, you really need to keep your distance since you have a long main attack range. The good thing about Finks is that he has a main attack range of 8.33 tiles, which is pretty good. This will help him stand his ground against the mid to longer range brawlers on those opened up maps. I would still recommend to stay within mid range of your target due to the slower projectile speed and to also increase your chances of hitting them with at least 2 projectiles. Now a time where I recommend you use your super with Finks is onto tanks and assassins. If you are being pressured hard by tanks and assassins, it can be a tough matchup for you to win. You don't have a ton of health, a normal reload speed, and not the greatest DPS output. However, by placing down your super and slowing down the enemy's projectiles, this might help you dodge some of them or just give you those stat buffs to help you take down your target. Now when you're using the hieroglyph halt star power, you need to constantly be hitting the enemies so that you are constantly making sure that their reload speed is being decreased. Even though the reload speed decrease will last for 3 seconds, you still want to connect your shots onto your target so that you prolong the decrease in their reload speed. This will give you an even bigger upper hand and allow you to defeat the enemy since they won't have the ammo to take you down. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Bo. Now Bo is actually a great brawler now because of his super and hypercharge. Bo's traps can be effectively lobbed over walls, making them an excellent tool for countering brawlers hidden in bushes on the other side of a barrier. By strategically tossing a trap just ahead of their hiding spot, you can force them to walk into it as they lack the ability to cross the wall unless they are airborne or equipped with the destructive super. Additionally, if you somehow are using the tripwire gadget, you can inflict immediate damage on your unsuspecting opponent. Now why I personally love playing Bo is because of his super, like you can use it to lock down choke points and really surprise the enemy team. Bo's super can be used to defend critical areas and choke points on the battlefield. Enemies heading in the area will take high damage when they step on the traps. It can be utilized to cover the gem mine and gem grab to damage enemy brawlers who are gathering gems from it. It can also be used to cover key choke points in hot zone, which makes Bo an ideal control brawler. Now with Bo, I recommend practicing strafing depending on how you want to project the spread of the arrows. Bo always shoots 3 arrows from left to right, so you can take advantage of this to control the spread of your arrows. If you want to concentrate fire in a smaller area, move left while firing, allowing more arrows to hit a single target. For an attack with more spread, you want to be moving right. The space between each arrow will be increased, giving the attack a wider spread. However, the former strategy only works on stationary targets, as brawlers will most likely be moving and can thus dodge all 3 arrows. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Max. Now eventually as you get better, you will learn the scenarios in which you can use your super only on yourself when needing to make a play. If you notice that there is an opportunity that you can capitalize on to try and put your team in a position to win the game, you need to make that split-second decision to just go for it before that window closes. Or for example, there could be times where you are low on health and need an escape. This is when you can use your super to hopefully make a getaway, but I still recommend getting as much value as possible with every super and using it on your teammates if you can. Now not only is Max's super a great part of her kit, but also I love using her phase shifter gadget. Whenever you have a mechanic or an ability in the game where you have immunity for a short duration, it just makes that specific mechanic extremely broken. This is why all of the pros use this gadget, because of all the versatile ways you can change the tides of a match and just frustrate the enemy team. Now of course, another great thing about Max's kit of course is going to be her hypercharge unlimited energy. Max's hypercharge energy drinks actually have a small splash radius, allowing them to charge the supers of multiple allies. Although impractical in most situations, if Max and her allies are all stacked on top of each other, using the hypercharge and then super will cause multiple energy drinks to hit all allies, granting them significant supercharge. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Buster. Now something underrated about Buster that not a lot of people talk about is actually his super. Buster's super montage gives him a strong defensive edge by projecting a front-facing shield that reduces and reflects incoming projectile damage. This makes him highly effective against long-range brawlers, allowing him to block shots, push forward safely, and disrupt enemy positioning. When used with good timing and aim, the super can turn fights in Buster's favor by punishing attackers and creating opportunities for his team. Now hands down, Buster's slow-mo replay gadget is one of the best gadgets in the entire game. The reason I say this is because slow-mo replay can serve multiple different purposes. You can disarm the enemy to cause them to drop the ball and Brawl Ball, you can protect your teammates by pulling in enemies that are trying to chase them down, you can even use your gadget to pull enemies towards you so that you can do more damage, since Buster does more damage the closer the enemies are to him. Now all of you players out there that love to play aggressive, you love to just run into the enemy team's faces, hey, Buster is a great brawler for you to play. Buster is ideal for aggressive playstyles due to his high close range damage, slowing gadget, and protective super, and this makes him effective at initiating fights and disrupting enemies. His abilities let him pressure opponents, lead pushes, and control areas in fast-paced modes such as Brawl Ball. This aggressive toolkit allows Buster to dominate the front line, snowball map control, and create opportunities for his team to secure objectives. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Hank. Now the only reason why Hank is at the top of the meta now is because of his hypercharge homing officials. When activated, Hank torpedoes will curve towards enemies or a wall if its path is obstructed. This allows Hank to gain more value from his super, and by gaining those stat buffs as well, it makes Hank even scarier to face on those closed off maps. Now whenever you're using Hank and you're trying to hit the enemies with your main attacks, remember this critical tip. When approaching an enemy, always charge your bubble in the opposite direction of that target. When the bubble is at its maximum size, quickly rotate the attack joystick to aim towards the enemy and immediately release it. This strategy catches the enemies off guard, as they will not be able to gauge a safe distance from you while your bubble is not facing them. Now in the current meta with Hank being so good, I recommend you guys run this build whenever you're playing Hank in ranked. The best loadout for all maps and modes is the barricade gadget, it's gonna blow star power, and of course using the damage gear and health gear. This is because Hank does have one of the highest burst damages in the game, which can be greatly boosted with the damage gear and the it's gonna blow star power, helping you get within range. The health gear is great because Hank has terrible natural regeneration, and you want to spend as little time as possible to heal up so you can immediately go back to attacking again. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be Chester. Now the whole reason why Chester is broken right now is because of his hypercharge crunchy, chewy, and gooey. When activated, Chester's Candy Popper, Salmiakki, and Pop Rock supers combine into one. Candy Popper no longer knocks back enemies, Salmiakki sprays powder in a circular area, and Pop Rocks last for 5 seconds. Upon activating the hypercharge, Chester's super will change into his Candy Popper super. Now whenever you're trying to charge up your super or just deal damage onto the enemies, I always recommend that you're attacking the enemies at a point blank range. Consider getting close to the enemies when using his 3 to 4 bells attack. If you have difficulty approaching, try using his Candy Beans gadget or his Jawbreaker super. When you're fighting against assassins, by having the 3-4-1 sequences, you can deal a massive burst of damage in a very short time, which is enough to kill most assassins with 3 to 4 bells. When you are having close range fights with tanks, the 2-3-4 sequence is recommended to maximize damage dealt to the enemies. Now, even though you don't have a consistent super whenever you're playing Chester, you need to know what you want to do with each of the 5 supers whenever you get it. I recommend always having a plan for each of the supers you might get, so that even if your spicy dice cannot get the super you wanted, you will still know what to do with it. All attacking supers besides Jawbreaker can be useful for team wipes, especially when multiple enemies are affected by the super. It can recharge very quickly. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is going to be B. Now B's super is unbelievably clutch when needing to hit your shots. Usually most brawlers are fast enough to be able to dodge B's shots. However, upon hitting a brawler with their super, it is possible to auto-aim them down very quickly without aiming, as the brawler is slowed down and unable to move fast enough to dodge your shots. Keep in mind that brawlers with movement speed boosts from star powers or supers might still be able to dodge auto-aim shots. Now you do have to remember that B only has 1 ammo slot and she doesn't have the most amount of health, so she can be ambushed pretty easily. It is advised not to stay too close to bushes that cover a large area, mostly because close range brawlers and assassins such as Bull, Darrow, and Edgar can be great counters and can inflict lots of burst damage if they have been bush camping or behind walls nearby, and assassins can dodge your shots easily with their fast movement speed and or fast supers. Now why I personally love playing B in rank is because she's such a great counter to tanks. Since most tanks are close range, in order to deal effective damage, they would have to get close up to the other team. B's slowing super and gadget can be effective in this place, and she's able to shoot them down without getting hurt herself. However, a lot of tanks have supers or gadgets that allow them to travel a distance, therefore closing up with B. In this case, it would be a good idea to team her up with a brawler that can protect her if she is threatened. Alright guys, the next brawler we're going to be talking about is Jaeyoung. Now since Jaeyoung is a support brawler, prioritize supporting your teammates above all. An amateur mistake I always see is that people not only play Jaeyoung like a damage dealer, but any support brawler like a damage dealer in general. Your job as a support brawler is to support your teammates. Whether the situation calls for a speed boost or an instant heal, you need to prioritize that first and foremost, especially with a brawler like Jaeyoung. Now whenever using Jaeyoung's super, don't be afraid to just use it onto yourself whenever you need to stay alive and heal up. Sometimes you're just gonna get some interesting randoms inside of Brawl Stars, right? So don't be ashamed to just use your super onto yourself when you gotta take matters into your own hands to carry your team. Especially when you're about to die and nobody's near you, just go ahead and use your super. If you're out there and watching and is that interesting random, just use your super onto your teammates. You're not that guy. Well, anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed that video, I highly recommend you guys go check out this video right here.